daisy chains and sweet champagne, and 2 days alone with you. Not too far from the city by car, or maybe we can make a more romantic trip by train to the country. It's where I want to be with you for the week.
Is it working? I think it's working. Woohoo! Good morning. Good morning. How are all of you? It is Saturday the 6th of August, and figured it'd be about time to catch y'all up to speed on some stuff. For I think this is part number 16, or yeah, 17 of the Apple Press build. And whoo-wee, what a summer, what a summer. Wow, that's crazy. I don't know if you will be able to see it in the camera, but my hives are right along there. And we've gone into dearth with our, well, we've gone into dearth. Dearth is drought. Dearth is unavailability of resources for the bees. And when you get into that, well, we had just harvested a little bit of honey this year out of there. We only took a couple frames out of each hive because, where's Smokers? Mr. Smoky, because it was a late spring, and all the splits that we did, and the constant swarming that was going on. Each hive swarmed, and I did splits and whatnot, and so it took them a long time to get going into building, and so they didn't have as many reserves as they did last year. Last year we got almost 5 gallons, a gallon of honey out of each hive. Anyway, so we went into dearth. I've got a feeder back here behind the house on the wood pile. Some of you've seen that before, and they are killing it. I mean, there's got to be, right here in this area, you can see them flying. It's got to be 20 to 30 bees any second you look there, just zip 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 back and forth going to that feeder. Boy, they're hitting it hard, and they're coming in here. Oh, you gotta love the homestead. I just wish we could get some rain, because it is dry. Anyway, folks, this is part 17, and I've been ahead of you for a couple of days here, and we're gonna, oops, bump this thing over. We're gonna catch up on a few things that we've got going on here, bring you up to speed. You know, like I said before, sometimes I just got to get in and work, because I got to rethink about how I'm going to do things. This go round, I'm making some changes to the build that I didn't do before. I'll walk you through some of that. And I've been doing it, so, you know, I got done with all the woodwork on these things. Ooh, lighting, there you go. I got done with all the woodwork on these things, and it's time to start doing the metal work on it, and I'll show you. We'll look at that here. But before I did that, I went ahead and put out that video on building the pole mount. It was a smaller project, a lot less thinking, and a whole lot of just get it done, and I wanted it off my floor, so we got it done. I mean, I could have set it aside, but it was just easier. Get it done. And so I've been moving on to the metalworking, so I've pulled out my little wire wheel and grinding wheel. I've got my right angle grinder with the cutoff wheel in it. I'm also using this one. Since we're doing so much metal work, I need to get it out. That's what I've been doing this morning, is getting everything out to try and get some work done. So let's take a look at some of the actual metal parts And so I've gone ahead and I've cut, cleaned up and cut. Now this one doesn't quite look at like this one does, but yeah, a little surface rust will help hold the paint on. And I've pretty much scoured it down real good with one of those green scrubby pads and sanded and rounded it off. We want this to feel good in the hand because it's the handle. Here's one of the girls flying out of here because the handle's going to get welded. Which one did I do already? This one right here. I get that off of here. Do this one-handed. There we go. So I've taken on this one anyway and gone ahead and ground a little notch. That little notch is where the handle is going to get welded into. It helps hold it. Right. Like that. And so I've gone ahead and gotten my rods cut to length. And one of the things I'm doing different this year is I'm being a little more conservative with my materials. Before when I was buying the threaded rod, I could buy it per foot, and I was getting 24 inches of it because that was a little bit more. And when you'd get the bolts on here, that'd give you a whole lot of room. And you look in the older pictures, you know, I've got a lot of threaded rod here, and it's not necessary to have that much length. And when you buy these Acme threaded rods, which is those bigger, thicker threads that will stand up much longer over time to the pressure and wear, that's a major improvement in quality of material. And when you do that, what happens is you can only buy a 3-foot section. So if I were just to cut 2 foot, and that'd leave me with a 1-foot scrap, and I'm not sure what I could do with that 1-foot scrap if I couldn't weld it to another one and maybe make it look good. I don't know. That's unworkable to where a nut would go down, or it would go through a nut. I don't know if I could do that. So I was thinking through this thing, and I really did some checking and remeasuring. And where is that one? Let's go ahead and put this back on here. And okay, so how much do I really need? So essentially what I come up with is I only need 18 inches. And let me show you how that works and why it's only 18 inches. Is because, oh, in here, we'll look at the pallets. You can kind of see the pallets. I finished them up because I don't believe I showed you them being mitered on the corners and whatnot. Alright, so here's the pallet. You notice how it fits in there. Really nice. I gotta love it. But when you press, the juices are going to come out through here. They're going to go down through, and you want it to where the juices can flow down and start draining into your pot. So let's look at this thing. Alright, so there's the press plate. Oh, and we'll stop and talk about it for a second. So I've got the 3 metal plates where I'm laying them out. I've got to punch holes in all 4 of these corners for a countersink bit to use a stainless screw to screw it down. And whoops, get you dizzy here. And I also ordered these, and I should have ordered a couple more, but this is a standard thread. You can look in there as standard machine threads versus, get this over here, get you dizzy here. Alright, so standard machine threads right there, you see that, versus the Acme threads. So this is like, I think this is like 13 threads per inch, and you only got a little bit of thickness on it. And this is 8 threads per inch, and you're very thick threads. So these are going to hold up a lot better. But you don't need that for the press plate. And as you can see, I ordered it right. Essentially, this thing will slide in there. And then we'll take this, because it looks nice, and we will weld it right on there like that. And then it'll get screwed down, and I'm going to paint this. I'm going to paint it the same green as these rods. And so it gets screwed on, centered in here. So this is going to go, that's your press plate. Okay, and it looks really neat when you get it all done and centered and everything's nice. And so I got to weld that. That's what I've been preparing, is to get to everything to where it's going to be welded. So this has to be welded here after I get the screw holes drilled in it. Then I need to weld the T-handle on the top of this. And to answer that question before I forget, because I almost forgot, is why is it only 18 inches? Alright, so let's look at how far this has to run. This has to run, where is it? Let me think. It's that other one over there. So, not you. Hold on. I'm going to make you dizzy again. Hang on. Lots to do. Alright, so I can't do the plate yet. So I've got to cut out of here and here, these pieces, the plates that are going to get bolted here, and this nut will end up getting welded to the bottom. And is that one? No, that's not correct. Let's see. Hang on, bear with me, so you can see how this goes. Flip this over. I'm gonna get you really dizzy. Alright, let me get this other side in here. Alright. Oh, that's tight. Hang on. It's because I did the grinding on it. And this will help you see. This is going to really help you see. So there will be a metal plate on here. And alright, so that could screw down that far. And let me get one of the handles. And this handle will get welded on there like that. It'll be a nice little bead. This will be this nut will go on the underside here, and the reason is because I want my holding force for the screw to be where it's going to be pushed on up under here, because when I screw this down, the pressure is going to go down and the pressure is going to go up on the beam. So we'll have the two plates here, and it's not too bad. It's almost parallel. I have to hold it perfect when I go to weld it. And why only 18 inches? Alright, so if you can picture the press plate all the way up and sitting with that nut and that plate on that board on the end of this rod. Okay, that would put it right about here. Okay, this is 18 inches of barrel. If you have this under the scratter and you fill it completely up, you need enough room here on top to work getting the plate on. And then once you start pressing, because this rod will go all the way up to where it's just barely sticking out down here at the nut. And once you run it all the way down to about this position, which you have just enough clearance for this thing to turn, like all the way through the legs, and you run it down this far, this distance is about average for pressing out the pulp. And what that means is if this thing's full, you're going to press this thing to about halfway down anyway. You're not really going to get it pressed further than that. It's just the nature of it, unless you happen to have less than a barrel in the apples or whatever that you're grinding up. So in normal usage, you're going to fill this barrel all the way up, and you're going to have your cloth in here or your laundry bag in here, and you'll wrap it over, you'll put the press plate on it, and then you'll start running it down. And at full extension, you should be pretty much completed in your apple pressing. Now, what we were doing on some of the first ones that were a little taller in their build and a little narrower in the barrel, What I ended up doing, and there was a, how should I say, the 100-year-old press had a much shorter rod than this. And if you look at, and I'll see if I can't find the images of it. The apple press that I refurbished that was 100 years old, that was all I had was the metal piece here, the handle and the rod. I didn't even have the plate. I had to fix the plate for it, and then everything else I built. That was even shorter than this, so it didn't have as long a throw on it. So I had to adjust the height of the juice pan in order to get it up to where it would work. Anyway, what we did on some of those is we created more press blocks, which means this. We made another round block, just like these right here. So it would be like having another one, but without the nut plate on top of it. And if you pressed it down and you ran out, you could still get juice out of it, and you needed more room, you could run this back up. You could pull the one with the nut out, put one without the nut in it, and you just stack some blocks on it to give you more press room. And I'm thinking that maybe what I do is go ahead and, I don't know, we'll see. I have to see it all together to make sure if we even need it. Simply because like I said, from all the pressing I've done, when you have a full barrel, once you press it, you're only going to get it down to about halfway anyway. So anyway, I'm trying to be conservative with the materials, which means if I get it right at what I need, then I have more that I can use for more presses. And a block or two, if it's necessary, would take care of any other lacking, if it is a case, which I don't think it is. So that's where we are with these pieces. I've got to drill these plates out, which is these. I got to get the nuts welded on them. I got to get these handles welded to the top of the bars, and then get them painted. I've already gone ahead and sanded down and cleaned up the metal on the 5/8 rods. These are going to be the axles for the wheels, so they'll go get a hole drilled through there, and then our wheels and tires will get mounted on them. We're getting close, folks. We're getting close. We're getting hotter too. I might have to make the executive order of not working this next week, because we're supposed to go back out to upper 90s, 97, 98, 99, and I'm not looking forward to that. It is only 9 o'clock in the morning right now, and it is not exactly comfortable just standing here chatting with you. So a lot of handwork in getting these pieces. I mean, I'm literally just doing a lot of this on the grinding wheel, the wire brush, by hand with those, and getting it together. But that's what I'm going to leave off with you. We're 18 minutes into this part of the video. What I want to do is go ahead and do everything I just explained. I've got to get the holes drilled in the other two beams, and I got to get these plates cut and made. I'm going to have to, and I've done it two different ways, and I'm not sure. I may do it both ways this go round based on a few conditions that I may explain later. But if I get one of these plates on top, I drill through it and I clamp the lower plate and the upper plate together with a quarter inch bolt that goes through, and we had 4 of them here on the 4 corners. with a previous one, and then I've also gone and wrapped this thing completely in metal and welded it all up. And there's different logics behind it all. I think I'm probably just going to stick with the plates on this one and rethink through things, because this is the one that will be for sale versus these two. And I may do the full wraparound weld on these. I don't know. I got to think through how I'm going to do this, so we're still working on that. But that's the point. Hopefully I will show you that when I get it done in this video. Alright, I got lots to do, and once we get all this done, then the next challenge is going to be the electrical part and the motor mount. And the motor mount's going to get tricky on these guys, so because we have a totally different motor than I did originally. Where is that dude at? Right there. That one right there has that long shaft on it. I could not get one with a long shaft with these specs, these motor specs, so I had to get this one. It has close to the same motor specs, but it's got a 3/4 inch drive shaft on it. So we got little challenges left to do on that. Get this done, show you what it looks like when we get all the press handles in place, and we're actually capable of doing some pressing. For all intents, once we get this done, this machine could work if you put a V-belt to something and run it, and you could press. So, alright, we'll be back in a bit. Alright, here's a quick look at the press plate. Tell you what, welding this thick metal is not as easy as it looks, but you can see I've done better. I mean, it's kind of gobby looking, but you can rest assured that ain't going anywhere. So I'm getting to start painting them. There you go. Once it's painted and bolted down, it'll look pretty enough. It'll function too. Alright, you know, if I keep doing this, I might actually get good. Not too bad. Being able to keep a bead running around that thing while you're turning it, and doing it as slow as you can to try and build up the bead. Well, anyway, it's almost lunchtime, and I think we're going to call it good for this. I'm going to clean this one up and spray it. You can see I got that one. I just got it sitting there in the hole so that it has a good place to dry, and you know, flies can have a place to land. And yeah, so there's one handle, and it looks good. I'm very happy with it. And I got the plate done, the press plate. Let's see here. Let me see if I can do this coordinated, like, see if I can. Is it gonna screw in there? There. Now, stand. There you go. Well balanced. Alright, so as you can now see, and you know, I could have used a piece of pipe for that. That would have worked. Anything that would hold it in place. I just thought the nuts, the big nuts, kind of looked nice. But there you go. It sits right in there, and that, as you screw it down and presses down on the stuff there. So what's left is to make the two plates that are going to go here and get it welded and then bolted on, drilled out and bolted on, and I think we're going to be fine with that. But we're going to call it good for this video, because quite frankly, it's noon, it's 93, 94, hot. I'm sweating, and I got to get lunch, and I don't think I'm going to come back out after lunch. So we'll call it good on this segment. I'll see what we can do to get done before the next time I check in with you, which would be what, part 18? Is I want to get that done, get these plates done, on each of these and get the press part done. Get the holes drilled in there and the press is done. And have that part done. I might even go ahead and mount the axles and the legs, the front legs, and put the wheels on. We'll see if that maybe I get that done before the next time we talk. Because the next big thing, once I get these plates in, is going to be getting the motor mount done. And there's going to be a couple ways that we're going to look at that. The electrical and all should go very similar, but we'll see. Anyway, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something or just got entertained by a bunch of foolishness out here in the woods and the workshop. So, on that note, see if I can do this. Bye-bye, y'all. Did I get it? No.